Okay, YouTubers, I'm going to go ahead and start the process of trying to yank the outer axle bearings out of this 8.8. Alright guys, let's find out if our experiment is going to work or not. Basically, these are what you use to pull axle bearings out of a axle tube, because it'll lay flat past the bearing, open, and then it'll catch the bearing between this foot, pivoting foot, and this washer. And then normally you would hook a slide hammer to this end and you would just, use brute force to get that out. I'm gonna attempt to do, because nobody's a professional around here, nor do we play one on TV. What we want to do is hook that thing inside the bearing. Of course, you pick the appropriate size for what you're trying to do. Then what I'm going to attempt to do is just set this thing over the axle housing and see if it'll pull that bearing out. If not, I'm gonna have to come up with plan C. Get it too far off kilter, it will just yank the rollers out of the inside. So basically what I'm trying to do is just use these wrenches, one to hold the main shaft and the other one to turn this nut, to see if we can get lucky and possibly make this work. Let's see. Let's just see how stubborn. It's not easy to turn. I know it's not near as hard to turn as it was. Oh, it's coming. I can see it. And we've got the bearing pulled all the way out to the very end. I can't go any farther. We got her out to the end. That's pretty cool. Now we got to figure out how to get the rest of the way off. He had managed to pull the bearing flush to the outer part of the axle housing, which is great, but I couldn't get it the rest of the way out. So I made a concoction of the bearing pulling tool, a fine thread, just happened to have a fine thread harmonic balancer puller that matched the threads in the end of this puller, bearing puller. So I was basically able to go from here, put this piece on, and then just smack this thing with a hammer and it just popped right out. So, find stuff around your shop and make it work, guys. Alright, let's do the driver's side and hopefully it'll go equally as well as the other one. So the biggest thing is you just need to find something that's thick enough, or not thick enough, wide enough, I guess, to span that axle housing. You ever heard the expression, rather be lucky than good? Apparently on the other side, I got lucky as can be, because it literally just went straight together. But it's hard to do with one hand. And yeah, I'm calling the one-handed card today. See? Now we can start putting a little juice to it and see if it'll start pulling that out. She was pretty stubborn at first, but once it starts moving, call it a crescent wrench, because there's different brands that make those things. I don't know why that teacher was so stuck on that. Pretty funny though, if you think about it. because he used to talk about Crescent wasn't the only brand that made these. Vice Grips wasn't the only brand of those. You know, apparently some people enjoy being an expert on stuff that doesn't really matter. Alright, that's about as far as we can go. So now, if my plan works, all I gotta do is tap this thing. And old Jed's a millionaire. Look at that. Not quite the way the engineers drawed it up. I did get the axle bearings, the outer axle bearings removed. I did run some just balls of heavy duty like paper towels through the axle tubes. I did build a 2-inch square tubing, fairly thick wall. What I did was just bolt, put a bolt through it. Doesn't have to be tight. And then use this one as a leverage position to where it would flip around and hit. I think I ended up hitting just the bottom of the leaf spring, and then it was easy to undo that pinion nut. So I got that undone, but realized I forgot to bring a puller. And yes, I know people do or have put their nut on their pinion gear and just hammered that pinion gear out of your companion flange. Well, I chose not to try that maneuver, but from underneath the 8.8, there's a space where you can take a small, like 3-pound sledgehammer and just tap on this thing, turn it, tap, turn it, and just keep turning it and hitting it, and you can take your companion flange off without what I was going to use was like a 2 or 3 jaw puller to pull that off of that stupid pinion gear. But I did get it off. This is the ring and pinion, the 373. I can't find anything particularly wrong with the large pinion bearing. Like the rollers look okay. I don't see any, scoring or any major wear at all. I don't know. See, I'm not saying they're perfectly smooth, but they don't seem hurt enough to make the amount of noise that 8.8 was making. But the gears are okay. I haven't pulled the small pinion bearing and stuff out of the housing yet because I got to pry that super tight seal out first. I'm gonna wait till tomorrow to do that. It's getting kind of late and it's raining pretty hard today. But I got the 373 ring and pinion removed, and I was expecting to see the gear in bad shape, but it's in good shape. There's nothing wrong with it. So that'll either go on the shelf or get sold. But then again, got my companion flange off. I did spend, I'm gonna move you just real quick here. I did spend a little bit of time filing on the track lock, because there was a lot of burrs around this edge. I might even hit it some more with a little bit heavier file, because I was using a pretty fine tooth file to kind of clean off this area and this flat area all the way around, because it almost looks like at some point in time in the life of this track lock, somebody just used a chisel to try to get the stupid gear off of here and put some pretty serious gouges in that steel. So I was just kind of cleaning it off and getting it flat and making sure I cleaned off everything around this surface, because I hate how tight the ring gear fits on here. It's almost a pain in the neck to try to put a ring gear on your carrier and get your bolts lined up exactly right, because if it's not lined up, that thing doesn't turn at all. you got to basically knock it back off and try again. So what I had seen on a couple of other videos was cleaning off, just kind of what they call dressing the inside diameter of your ring gear, and then hitting this and dressing this surface to kind of give it what I would call a slight interference fit, not nearly as hard as it is at this point. So I'll probably be trying that trick. Once I rub this upper portion, let me get this a little closer. Once I rub this with my dirty fingers from working on the differential, it does have some wear. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's got a little bit of phonographing. That's an old school term. I don't know if everyone's going to understand what that means, but you can feel where, some grit and debris has been run on that journal. So I'm going to have to play it by ear. Hopefully the new bearing will press on with a decent amount of compression or interference fit. See right there, you can see that darkness. See that darkness there? That's where that stupid carrier bearing was spinning on this journal, or this part of the track lock case, where it absolutely is not supposed to do that. I don't know if there's a way to knurl this to make it a tighter fit when I put it back together. They do make industrial Loctites, and it's, forgive my old age, it's either green or purple Loctite that you can put behind a pressed on bearing, and it'll literally, like, I don't want to say weld it because it will come off, but you may have to heat it, but it'll hold that thing and not let it spin. So, I may have to look into doing that, because I don't know. I don't know why this did that. I don't know if that's a common issue that, you see on track locks. I just truly don't know. But I got to a stopping point, and I will make another video tomorrow. Hopefully be able to start the process of putting it back together. But at this point, I have to make a final decision on how much I want to clean the stupid axle tubes. I am going to clean the carrier area of the housing as best as I can, with brake clean, rags, whatever I need. But I want to get the seal, the pinion seal out, have a look-see at the small pinion bearing and race. I want to get the races removed and replaced in the housing, do the axle bearings and axle seals, and then we can start the process of trying to set up this new 273 ring and pinion on the track lock. So, and yes, you heard that right. I'm pulling out a set of 373s and going to a set of 273s, which was my long-term plan from the very beginning, turned into the now time plan, because the 373s are just, without overdrive, are just going to rev too high, and I need this vehicle to be highway friendly so I can drive it anywhere I need to go. If you look back at some of my older videos, but I'll just throw it out real quick, I always intended on running either a 273 or a 308 ring and pinion when I went turbo. That I'll have to explain in a different video, because we'll get way off in left field, and it talks about loading the turbo and all that junk. So anyway, this is where I got today as far as removing the axle bearings, not necessarily as the engineers maybe intended, but the engineers don't know everything, do they? So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching these videos. Hopefully you'll like, subscribe, share, hit the little bell. Like I try to stress to people, this isn't my first video. I got 400 plus on my channel. You may or may not be able to see any more than a year old from your cellular device. So I highly encourage you to take the time on a laptop or home computer and check out my channel so you can see some of the older builds and some of the good information on head porting. So anyway, thanks again. Please like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one.